Hello. I'm making a video with my baby dog. My baby dog is sitting on my shoe right now, and now if I turn around, then I might get somehow start on him. But I don't want to do that. And so this video is for dogs, for all dogs, and for all beings, of course. And there's a couple of things that I want to talk about in this video, and I want to collect my thoughts on this, and I want to do inwardness meditation and calm down my brain so that I can talk about this peacefully without being scatterbrained. So it's very important. So much going on right now in the world. It's unbelievable. So first of all, I am infinitely grateful that we rescued our baby dog Elon. Okay, so, and that is wonderful that we rescued a dog from the animal shelter, and I highly recommend to other people to do the same. Okay, and I also wanted to rescue a baby dog from the Ukraine, a European Basset Hound from Breen Brass Bassets, Ukraine, a large 100% European champion bloodline European Basset Hound breeder, and they're world famous. They have won many shows and many prizes, world shows. I believe that Super Mario came from them. I'm not 100% sure. So they have unbelievable dogs. They had a dog with the name, what was that name again? Paramount. Okay, Paramount. Those are from those parents. They are absolutely amazing, and I posted this photo everywhere from Paramount. They look like ghosts, kind of. They have a very ghostly face and black ears, and Paramount looks like he looks like a hippie with black hair, spaghetti hair parted in the middle. That's how he looks like. Really amazing. And he went to Spain to live with the family. And now they have another baby that looks like Paramount, and even more ghostly. So that baby looks like he has these ghostly shadows, ghostly rings under his eyes that fan out, and from like a dark gray brown fanning out into white. His face is white, but then these dark shadows under the eyes, kind of spooky, and with dark ears, very dark brown, grayish color, and he's absolutely gorgeous. I posted him on Facebook. I posted their Facebook group from Green Brass Bassets on Facebook. Also, I want to join their group because I'm very concerned for them, and I'm so grateful that they have a lot of fans who are helping them in these very difficult times, okay, that are happening right now in the Ukraine. So I've been so worried for them, so worried. I pray to the blue God for Green Brass Basset Hounds to be safe, for the whole family to be safe, and to find refuge somewhere, to find help, people to support them, And I was very grateful to hear from their longer blogs, posts that they put on Facebook on the what's going on right now with their journey of leaving the Ukraine. They actually had to leave the Ukraine, almost like I didn't realize how bad this was. It's almost like World War II, where German families had to pack up and leave. The writer Thomas Mann had to leave behind a large mansion in southern Germany because he was Jewish and his family, and they had to flee from there. They had to flee to California and start a new life there, which they did. And I'm grateful they had a lot of supporters, and a lot of families had to leave, and had to leave their large homes behind, everything, all of their possessions. And the same happened with Green Brass. They had to leave, they had to pack up, they had to just drive out in cars and I don't know, or other vehicles, trucks or vans. They couldn't take anything large with them. They brought with them whatever they could bring. The number one priority that they have in their lives is their dogs. Okay, so, and they have new puppies, they have new litters, and some were very close to giving litters. Okay, in the midst of the war, of this war situation. And I could cry forever about this. What the Joe Biden administration has caused in this world. And I blame Joe Biden for this. I blame him and his son. I would say they're together with the corporate agenda, which they are the corporate agenda. They have driven the Ukraine into a war with Russia, and Russia was against it. They were very much against that war. And trust me on this one, the information that comes to us is all twisted. Okay. Russia has never been the attacker, okay? And neither has the Ukraine. It was the US collaborators, corporate collaborators that have created this, that have set this in motion. Okay, that's what happened. That's the truth. And all of this for greed associations. It would not have happened under Donald Trump, for sure. Donald Trump is extremely opposed to war. Okay, Biden and Harris are eager to have war. They want war. The corporate agenda wants war. Okay. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, they want to sell their weapons. They want to have customers for all of their invasive technology. And that's a fact. What they have caused in the Ukraine, they caused another World War II with almost the same situation, where families had to leave their homes. I am infinitely grateful to Green Brass and to all of their friends and all of the people that supported them and helped them, and who did everything they could, gave money, gave support, gave help, gave contact information, even the people at the border When they saw the dogs, their hearts melted, and they did not give them a hard time. It took the crossing of the border from Ukraine into Romania, took them about an hour with passport checks and everything and inspections. And they said that it would have been too hard on the dogs if they had to be quarantined, or if they had to be given a hard time, or had longer inspections or interrogations or something like this. So I'm infinitely grateful to the Blue God, because I prayed to the Blue God for the Breen Brass family. I was very worried. With those amazing dogs that I so infinitely love. I love their dogs. They're among the absolute best in the world. So amazing looking dogs. Like metaphysical. And the other day at the other house, I was also really thinking about them intensively. And suddenly I was thinking about the 10-month-old baby that looks like Paramount, with the eyeshadow underneath, and the long dark brown ears and dark brown spots on white coat. 10 months old male puppy, and they have him in the photos when they cross the border into Romania. They had the son had him safely in his arms, and I was so glad to see that. I was thinking about that puppy because they posted photos of him. I guess they sold all the other ones already. They still have this puppy. And I said, we want to take that puppy. I want to take that puppy so bad, I love that puppy infinitely much. That puppy is the world for me. Okay. So I love my dog, the one we have, infinitely much too. But you all know I am a total fan of European Basset Hounds, and so European Basset Hounds I can't even put words into describing this. How much love, how much intense feelings I have for European Basset Hounds. Once you had one, you will have another one. There's another lady who said that, and that's the absolute truth. So I really need another European Basset Hound after Dave. And I'm still grateful we have him. He's our guard dog, and he's gorgeous. He is absolutely gorgeous. But the European Basset Hounds, they're always absolutely on the top for me. So, and I know there are a lot of people that can relate to my taste, and I'm so grateful to that European Basset Hound community worldwide, that they help each other so wonderfully. And this is an amazing community, absolutely amazing, and we all feel the same way about our dogs. And I really want to take that baby. I asked them what his name is. I don't know if they have given him a name, but this is what happened. I was thinking about him at the other house. I was lying in bed with Paul and our baby dog, and I was thinking about that 100% Euro baby in the Ukraine. I was thinking about them. I was wishing, I was praying to the Blue God to keep them safe. And then the next thought, suddenly I was thinking about the German artist Kurt Schwitters. How did my brain suddenly go from baby European Basset Hound to the German artist Kurt Schwitter. So there was this sudden neuronal connection, okay, that was going on. And then I was thinking about Kurt Schwitters for a while. The German artist. He's making amazing sculptures also out of rocks, and so he had this incredible sculpture rock as his tombstone, and it says on it in German, it said "Man weiß ja nie." I think that's what it says. I will have to look this up. I think it says "Man weiß ja nie," and that translates to "one never knows." So people can interpret that in many different ways, right? Kurt Schwitters was a Dadaistic artist. He fell into the era of Dadaism, which is the era of wordplay. He was a word player, for sure, like Mozart was also. He would say sentences backwards and play around with words. And that was art for art's sakes. Art is art is art is art. A rose is a rose. A rose is a rose is a rose. Art is art. Okay. So those kind of sentences that several of them played with, art is rose, is art is rose, rose is rose, art is art. L'art pour l'art means art for art. And Kurt Schwitters was German. There were French Dadaists as well, of course. And that was, I believe that also was the Bauhaus era in architecture. That was the 50s. And Kurt Schwitters died, of course. And it says on his tombstone, "One never knows." And so maybe he has played with that idea, with that thought of reincarnation, and coming back as something artistic. Something artistic, such as that European Basset baby from green brass Bassets. And I give him the name Kurt. Kurt from Kurt. K-U-R-T. Like Kurt Cobain. But I think Kurt Cobain was spelled C-U-R-T. So, but that's a very similar name, of course. So I don't know where that name originates from. It's a German name for sure. K-U-R-T. Kurt Schwitters. That's a very interesting name by itself already. That name is already Dadaistic. And so I thought, oh, that dog is Kurt Schwitters. That's his reincarnation. He came back as that dog. And his life already starts in a complicated Dadaistic way, in the middle of this war situation, crossing the border into Romania, going into the Czech Republic. There are several world-famous European Basset Hound breeders in the Czech Republic also, as well as in the Ukraine, and the Ukrainian government was very supportive of the dog breeders in general to let these people safely get out of the country and to get into a refuge situation in another country, in a surrounding country. And So for several breeders, and I hope that all breeders and all of their dogs are safe. So, and the Basset, the European Basset Hound breeders, they are really helping each other. That they're like a family, even though many of them are in competition with each other, they still treat each other like family, and I think that's fantastic. That's absolutely wonderful. Okay, so where love is number one priority, love is more important than competition, and that love is more important than dog shows and elbowing and to try to promote their kennel over others, or all of these things are happening in the world in general. So, but the Euro Basset breeders are like a family. They help each other, and I think this is really fantastic, and I'm so infinitely grateful. Dogs come first, Dogs need to be pampered. This is absolutely infinitely important. Okay? This is the most important message for the whole world. And all animals need to be pampered. And all beings. Women too. Okay? So, very important. To put love over money and greed and prestige or business or competition, whatever. That brings me to a story that a teacher in Waldorf school told us when I was a child. I was about 8 years old. The teacher told us those anecdotes, and there were several anecdotes that were very heartbreaking. But there was this particular anecdote that came from the Greek philosophers, that came from those ancient Greek parables on ethics. I don't know exactly which philosopher came up with that story, but I think it's just a parable. It's not an actual story that happened. Maybe it did, but I think this is more like a fairy tale, sort of, in order to bring an ethics message, information across to the world. So this is the story. And it docks onto when I say love is more important in general for all beings than competition or a custody battle or something like that. Whether the custody battle is over a dog or a child or any being, okay, or over a woman, okay, two men fighting over a woman, for example. So this is the parable from Greece, ancient Greece. There was a true mother with her true baby, with a real baby. And there was another woman who claimed that baby was hers. She knew she was lying, but they went in front of a judge. And they started fighting with each other in court and arguing. And the baby was in the middle, like a tug of war, played with the baby. And one mother was holding on to the arms of the baby, the other mother was holding on to the legs. And they were starting to literally play tug of war with that baby. They were pulling, stretching the baby, and fighting and trying to pull the baby over to their side. Each one was doing this. So finally, the true mother, the real mother, gave up. She didn't want to hurt the baby. She didn't want to stretch the baby. This is, of course, a parable. So nobody who cares would even play tug of war with the child to not even for a second, right? So that's why this is a parable. Parable means comparable. Parable is something that is a story that is sort of parallel. Parable, comparable, and parallel. These words are all related. This is a metaphor. This is meta outside. This is metaphorical. This is a story to bring a message across. So the real mother let go of the baby, and the judge saw that, and the judge said, "And you are the real mother," he said to the real mother. "And you know how I know? Because you put love over the custody battle." Okay. The real mother lets go so that the child doesn't get hurt. And that is also the message of Gautama Buddha, of course. And that's a very good message. And then there's another very heartbreaking story that our teacher told us in Waldorf school that I will never forget. There was a man with his beloved dog whom he had for many, many years already. They were very close, very bonded together. And he was going hiking with that dog in Germany. And they got off the hiking trail somehow. They got lost. And they got into a bog area where there's deep bog, where there are areas in Germany where there is mud with some moss growing on top, but that's deceiving. The moss is deceiving because there's no solid ground underneath. It's bog, it is mud that can go down to like 20 feet. People have sunken into those and died, and animals too. So the man wanted to continue walking on this one path, and the dog was trying to get his attention. The dog knew. Dogs are psychic. The dog knew. He was barking, he was pulling on, he was grabbing his arm, he was pulling and saying, don't keep going on that path. And the man didn't understand what the dog wanted, and he kept going. So the dog finally let go of him and ran ahead on that path, and the dog sunk into the bog and disappeared. And he saved the man's life. The man knew if he went any further, he would sink into the bog as well. And he couldn't even rescue the dog. I would have sunken with the dog. I would have run after the dog. I would have done anything I could. I would have laid down on the top somehow and tried to pull the dog back out. And even if it had cost my life. But the dog saved that man's life. That's how much the dog loved the man. Dogs are gods and angels and Buddha souls, and that's the truth. Not all dogs, of course, just like with us humans. There are many different souls in dogs. Okay, but dogs in general, when they bond with a person, even a beginner soul in a dog, when they bond with a person, they're very loyal. They're very loyal friends to them. And I want all people to know that. You need to know that dogs are the absolute best loving friends there are in the whole world. I thought this was important to tell these stories. I live for dogs. I can't live without the dog. I lived for over 2 years without the dog. That was the longest I've ever lived without the dog, and Paul too. And it was hard. It was very, very difficult. We're in a difficult situation here. We're about to move out of these 2 homes. We're about to sell the homes. We're going to be transporting stuff. It's not an easy situation, but I could not live any longer without the dog. So we couldn't find a European Basset Hound in Klamath Falls or on a deserted parking lot where there's rubble and building materials, as in my dream. I had a dream about that. That didn't happen. Sometimes dreams don't come true, even dreams at night. Those are wish dreams also that our brains create, like a yearning for something. Like with that E.T. coming down to rescue me. Those are wishful dreams that the brain actually creates during the night, during sleep mode, not just daydreams. So the brain is always active with that kind of stuff. So no, the European Basset Hounds they are very, very rare, and they're very expensive. Okay, they can cost up to $5,000. And maybe more. Somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000. And particularly the show winners, show winner offspring, they're very expensive. I don't have to have a show winner. I love that baby out there, Kurt. We can call him Kurt. Kurt Schwitters. Okay, so that's another dream, another yearning. The likelihood of me getting Kurt Schwitters into my life is like winning the lottery, okay? Particularly with Paul not wanting to pay a deposit. So that made it extra hard because they all take a deposit. They're not gonna reserve a dog unless they know for sure the person wants the dog, right? So, and I don't blame him. I don't blame them for doing that. So, and then there's a lot of fraudulent people, of course, who take deposits and they never had dogs to begin with, okay? And they use other people's websites. They create fake websites. This kind of stuff's happening. So I don't blame Paul either. So it's been very difficult. Very difficult. But there are some breeders that I do trust, but Paul doesn't. Paul doesn't trust anyone. So we couldn't get the dog. So we finally adopted a dog, and that was very important to do. A dog on death row. I highly recommend to people to adopt a dog on death row. If you're not 150% determined on one particular breed, adopt a dog. So I like the Staffy ones too. They're very cute. Too hyper for me, okay? They're not that easygoing. They shred things. Okay? People need to know before they get the dog. They need to know what kind of dog they get. And if there's a European Basset Hound, or any Basset, or American Basset Hound, if there's any Basset Hound at an animal shelter, they don't stay there for very long, okay? So they're in high demand, for sure. People find them funny and cute, okay? So, and lovely, and they trust them, okay? They're very trustworthy dogs. So my baby here would have probably not have been adopted out because of the way he looks. Yes. So. Yes, you are my everything, you are. And I love you infinitely much. Yes. He is a Stuffy, he is a guard dog, okay, and people are afraid of those. And when families go to animal shelters, they want to adopt a dog who they're not afraid of, a Basset Hound #1, of course, or a little dog, or mixed dog. They're not going to adopt a guard dog or, of any kind of Mastiff. Okay? And he is a Mastiff breed. So I'm glad that we adopted him and we saved his life together with the lady from the animal shelter. She went all the way down to southern central California to get him off death row, to bail him out, or they would have put him to sleep. He was like, I don't know, not far away from that final deadline, literally. Yeah. And he looked at her with the saddest eyes, and I think she adopted him and several others, and brought them up north, and has them in her really, really amazing animal shelter. And I can't say where it is because I have haters. Unfortunately, this is sad. And she is absolutely the best I have seen. She's amazing. She gets 100 stars from me. Her name's Jen. She's absolutely amazing. And she does an amazing job. She has the males, I believe, the unneutered males. Those are all unneutered males that she has outside together. I guess all males together. That they have to find out if they get along, of course. To get along, then those they are brought together, but they're not mixed with the females, because some of the females are not neutered. She isn't gonna let them have more babies, okay? There are already so many dogs who need a home. Okay? So, and she had him neutered and several others already, like a week or so before we got there. He still had stitches in his scrotum area, and Paul was able to safely remove those stitches. He has pliers for that he bought that came in very handy for that. So, and it's important to remove those stitches because some of those stitches are not biodissolvable. So some stitches are biodissolvable. They dissolve, they get removed by the body itself. That's a different type of material, of course. It's a biological material. But the ones that he had were not. They had this wire type of stuff in it, and to keep them in place. So, but Paul pulled those out safely, and that's really good, and that's important to do. Okay, and I don't recommend to people to do this. Paul is very, very knowledgeable about all of these things. We're both very knowledgeable about veterinary care, but if your dog has these kind of stitches, you have to go to the veterinarian, and they have to remove the stitches when the wound is healed. It's very important. Or it can get infected really badly. Okay, so it's important to know. It is very important to look after your dogs. Okay, never ever leave your dogs alone. Okay, they have separation anxiety, all of them. Okay, and when they get terrible anxiety, they shred things apart. And then people get mad, and people don't even understand the psychology behind it. Okay. People need to learn dog psychology. This is absolutely infinitely important. That's why I make videos about this, to teach people dog psychology or psychology in general. Not assume something about another living being, not project something, not assume that they understand what you want from them, what you're saying. Okay, all beings, we're all different. We have different brains, different way of processing things. Okay, we need to learn to understand each other, even among humans. Okay, there are vast differences in brain processing. We need to learn to understand. We need to learn each other. We need to understand each other. Okay. We need to communicate better. We need to talk more. We need to spend more time with the other being, with the human or animal. Okay, and find out how are they processing things. So, what is their expertise? What are the areas where they have trouble processing? So dogs are very good at smelling things. Okay, they're very good at hearing usually, except for Kenny. Kenny was almost deaf. Okay. We had an albino, and albinos tend to be almost deaf or completely deaf. So, but most dogs can hear extremely well. They can hear frequencies from outside of the house. They know exactly what sound comes from outside, what kind of animals made that sound, and the person would not discern or wouldn't even hear anything. So he hears the raccoons and the cats at the other house, and he gets excited and he wants to chase after them because he wants to meet them. He wants to play with them, I think. I don't think he would hurt them. He's a very advanced soul. He's a God level soul. So let me think about Kurt Schwitters here. What soul level is Kurt Schwitters? I have to meditate on this. He's definitely an advanced soul. He's God level too. Kurt Schwitters is God level. My grandfather met Kurt Schwitters when they were still teenagers. They were together on some kind of camp, some kind of school class excursion or something. And Kurt Schwitters was already as a teenager doing word plays and doing theatrical type of things, that are weird. And my grandfather was a fascist, always has been as a teenager too. So these things show early, right? But, out of fear. My grandfather is not an advanced soul, and he had trauma, and this combination causes people to become fascist. And fascists come in all forms, okay? Muslims are fascists, okay? Just as much as Nazis are, or Mormons could be, or whatever people associate themselves with. They can associate themselves with a nation, and if you don't belong to that nation, they will discriminate against you. That's fascism. If you dress differently than they do, and they don't tolerate that, that's fascism, okay? If a man loves a man, the other guy, outstander, watches them, and who doesn't stand out, of course. He's not outstanding, the outside stander, okay, bystander or whatever. And that bystander says, the unoutstanding bystander says, those two men, they're not supposed to lie down with each other. It says it in the Bible. That's fascism. So, all of that is fascism. Okay? And my grandfather, he was bullying Coach Schwitters, and then he was proud of it, that he bullied Coach Schwitters. Wait a minute. That needs some introspection right there, okay? So don't bully anyone because they're different than you are. Don't do it. You identify yourself with your nation, with your religion, with your clothes, with your behavior, with your society, and so on. If someone is different, then you say, oh no, that's irregular, that doesn't. I was at Walmart, like, I don't know when it was, 15 years ago. We were relatively new to the area. I was at Walmart, and I don't remember how I was dressed, but maybe I had one of my Lacoste polo shirts on and a cargo pants, and I was looking at some bras or something. And there's this little boy coming up, little boy of like 8, and he looks at me up and down, and he says, "You don't belong here, into this store. This is not your store." I was so shocked and startled by that statement. First of all, I thought, where's your mommy? Do we need to find her now? And then I saw the mother was busy looking at underwear and stuff. Little boy was bored. He needed to troll someone. But I didn't know what to say to this. He even had some kind of angry facial expression. You don't belong into this store here. I can't take it as a compliment, sort of. Like, if someone says to you, you do not belong into Walmart, that's a compliment, man. But I was so startled about this. Not because I took offense, but I was startled that a little boy like this could already be this fascist, could already be this drilled by their parents. He must have been drilled in this way. You're not born that way, of course. Even some kind of stagnator soul or student of life, the first 2 levels, if they grow up in an artist family with modern art, they would never make a statement like this to it. That would never occur to them. They may be kind of trollish in nature, or maybe they'll bully someone who doesn't fit into the artist family, right? Yeah. My brother is kind of like that. So that will show up in some form, but they're not gonna bully someone like in a store where they will say, you don't belong into that store. You're wearing a Lacoste polo shirt. You need to go to the Lacoste store, okay, on Rodeo Drive. I don't know. I don't even know if there's a Lacoste store on Rodeo Drive. I assume there is. So, or Rolex store or something. No, I don't have any money, so that would be a waste of time for me to go into a Lacoste store now particularly, you know. When I was in Germany, when I bought these polo shirts, I had a bunch of money because I got a bunch of money from my parents, and I thought, oh, let's go shopping, right? So, and that's what I did. And now I have no money. I have literally no money. Not even a penny in my wallet. That's how little money I have. So there's nothing in my wallet. There are only self-made email cards with my artwork on it. That's all I have in my wallet. That's all I can give. Alright, so I'm gonna end this video now. Peace and love for all living beings equally much.